Hey guys, what's up? It's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel. Now, I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm still really dizzy from getting off the Lexapro. Today's kind of a weird feeling. I can't really even explain it except for that I'm dizzy. So, I just got done watching Addict to Quit with Zach's video about the disease of addiction. And, I know he's talking about my video, so I kind of wanted to, and you guys, like, here's the thing. I am very strong in my beliefs because here's the deal. For 10 years, I tried to not be an addict. For 10 years, I tried to believe that I didn't have this disease, okay? I tried everything. I tried praying it away. I tried all kinds of different rehabs and treatments. I tried all kinds of different programs. I tried therapeutic recovery programs where they put you in and basically it's like behavior modification. I tried therapy with a therapist. And the only thing that has helped me is the 12 steps. Do I think that you have to do the 12 steps to recover? No. Like, I know many people who have gotten sober without the 12 steps, but there's one thing that they have that's in common with the 12 steps, and they have support. They have a fellowship of other sober people around them. It might not be AA or NA, but they have a lot of support, and that's the one thing. You cannot do this alone. You have got to have support. I have never seen anyone do this without support. It doesn't matter if your support is just your family or your husband. You have to have support from someone else. That's just, I won't bend on that. But the thing about it is I used to say, addiction's not a disease. I used to say the same thing. And I would say, what? Cancer's a disease. Diabetes is a disease. Like, these are diseases. But a lot of those diseases are self-inflicted. Just like our addiction, when we take in drugs, we're taking that choice, But if you line up two people, okay, somebody who has the disease and somebody doesn't, maybe 10 people, out of those 10 people, 4 or 5 of them is going to have the disease of addiction. So how can you explain 5 people who all take in the same substance and then 3 of them becoming addicted? You know what I'm saying? That's why I believe, and I know a lot of other people believe, that it's already in us before we even take substances. It's an allergy. That's how I explain it. It's like an allergic reaction. We are allergic to drugs and alcohol. When we take that ish into our body, we don't react the same way that a person who doesn't have it does. Do you understand? And having it doesn't make you less than. Me saying that I have the disease of addiction isn't like putting me down. I've come to a point in my life where acceptance is the key to all my problems today. Okay? I've had to come to terms with this disease because for 10 years, I was knocking my head up against the wall. I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't have it. Trying to do what normal people did. Trying to go out to a party and have a couple drinks. Trying to go out and just, normal people stuff. And I kept hitting my head. And after so many times of knocking myself out into the wall, I came to a point where I accept. I admit that I have a problem and I need help, and I accept that. And now I'm ready to move forward. So I wanted to read this part because it doesn't really matter what you call it. We have it. You can call it whatever you want to call it. Okay? You have addiction. If you're watching this video right now, you have addiction. Okay? And I'm not talking about dependence to medications. I'm talking about addiction. When you keep on doing something, even though you're having bad shit happen. Okay? Abuse is what I'm talking about. Addiction and dependence are totally 2 different things. I am dependent on my medication. I'm dependent on Suboxone. I am no longer in active addiction. I am a recovering addict. I am over here killing the game in my recovery, staying clean and sober, making good choices, helping others, and that's what it's about, okay? But I am all about positive thinking and positive mindset and manifesting good in my life, but I'm also a smart cookie. Okay, and in order for me to fight addiction, I got to know everything about it. So that's what I've done. And I'm still learning. Now I'm learning about the psychological part and how your circumstances growing up might have been part of why you're an addict now. Just like a lot of us experienced trauma or some kind of like tragedy when we were younger, and we didn't have the coping skills to cope with that. So we reached for drugs and alcohol because we figured out that those things made us feel different. They made us feel better. That's really all that a drug addict or an alcoholic wants to do, is change the way they feel. That's what drugs and alcohol do for us. We like the feelings produced by drugs and alcohol. That's why we continue to use them even when we have bad consequences. Okay? Someone who continues to use drugs and alcohol after they've almost died, drove their car into a wall, overdosed and was in a 7-day coma, lost everything. Somebody who continues to do that, you can't tell me that that's not, that's insanity. That's insanity. That's doing something over and over again and still getting fucked. Like, you guys, the addiction will tell you that you don't have it. Addiction will tell you that, I'm telling you guys, cunning, baffling, and powerful. It is centers in the mind. You are battling your own self. Please be careful. If you don't want to call it a disease, that is fine. But you got it. If you're watching this video, you have addiction. Let's just call it that, addiction. And if you had to get on a medication to help you get off of opiates, and now you're dependent on your medication like I am, but we're no longer practicing the negative behaviors, then that is recovering. And dependency and addiction are so different, you guys. Like, when I was in active addiction, I was like, I wish I had, I know I have some, let me see. I have a picture. I know I have some pictures of me when I was in active addiction. And I also have, my mom and dad might have some old video of me when I was in active addiction. And I want you guys to see that shit. I'm going to have to upload it. But first of all, okay, let's get back on the track. I want to read to you guys this part in the big book. That's where I'm reading it from. And if you don't have this book, go and get it. Even if you don't believe in the 12 steps, just go get this book and read about Bill and his alcoholism. And I think you might get something out of it. What can it hurt? You know? And listen, you guys, I am not a hardcore, like, I believe in the steps. I believe that the steps help you to reach a spiritual experience, a spiritual awakening, a total change in personality and perception. And that's when you, like, go from being a criminal, thug, stealing, shooting dope, whatever you were doing, to where I'm at today.
Can I please put a jacket on so I will look like,
Yeah, your jacket's downstairs. Go get it, baby.
Where's the black one?
I don't know. Go get your jacket downstairs in the living room. Okay.
I know a black one. Here it is.
So I wanted to read this to you guys about acceptance, because it's just a good part, and it kind of like explains to us, like, I don't want you to feel like you're defeated because you have the disease of addiction, because you're not. But you've got to arm yourselves with the facts so that way you can fight your addiction. Because if we don't have the facts about the addiction, it's kind of like when you go to take a test. If you don't know the material that's going to be on the test, you're going to fail. So you need to learn about your addiction. You need to learn what your triggers are. You need to learn how it all began and look back and dissect what started it. Why did you start doing what you were doing? Did it start because of, did the opiates that you were prescribed by a doctor kind of kickstart your addiction? Because that's what happens to a lot of people. Now, you might not be an addict. There's a difference between somebody who is an addict and someone who was dependent on a medication and then the doctor ripped them off of it, okay? Like, of course you're going to need that. You're going to be sick. Your body's going to go into fight or flight mode, and you're going to be searching for, that opiate. Some people had problems with abuse of opiates, and they're not addicts, and that's okay. But if you're here and you're like listening to this video, then you might need to kind of like look back at your life and kind of reevaluate. Am I an addict, or am I, was I just abusing my medication? Because there's a difference, okay? The reason I know I was an addict, because anything I could get my hands on I would take, and I was shooting up. I mean, that's pretty much, done deal there. What are you going to do with this?
I'm just going to be Game Master.
Okay. Oh. There you go. Love you. But I put these videos out there not because I want you guys to, feel down on yourself. I'm just trying to help educate and help you come to terms and accept the fact that once you can accept that, you've been an active addict for so many years and now you're ready to change. It's when that willingness and honesty and open-mindedness comes to change.
Not going.
Okay, so I want to read this page to you guys. So it says, "An acceptance has answered all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, or thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me. And I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it's supposed to be at this moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. Until I could accept my addiction, I could not stay sober. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as on what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes." So, I mean, I just had to get to a point where, like, I knew that I had this. Like, you guys, going back over and over and over and over again, it's a mental obsession in your mind. And that's what happens with the addiction. And then you add opiate addiction on top of it, because I was addicted to multiple substances, methamphetamine, cocaine, like anything, But when you start getting that physical dependence, and that adds on to the addiction that's centered in our mind. So it really doesn't matter if you think it's a disease or not, because, well, I mean, it is. Like, it's been proven already. So that's like, but if you don't want to call it that, that's okay. I mean, that's your decision, I'm just trying to help you guys so that way, here's the thing. Eventually, you're going to have to give in. Eventually, you're going to have to let go and realize that everything that you've been doing up until this point hasn't been working, and that something else has got to be done. And that's how it was for me. It took me 10 years of trying to do things my own way to realize that my own way wasn't working out. So that's why I encourage you guys to learn and really try all the different programs you can, this whole beef on whether addiction is a disease or not, this has been done a million times. Like, at this point, I just kind of like, I go, okay, well, talk to the CDC about that and all the doctors and stuff, because it's already kind of been, done. That was a long time ago. We're past that. Now we have to figure out what we have to do to fight this disease, and we have to live, okay? And that's what I'm trying to do today. I'm trying to live, because inside the mind of an addict, okay, it's like an internal battle constantly against yourself, against your disease, because my diseased brain wants to tell me, hey, Nicole, you feel like shit because you're coming off Lexapro? Well, I bet you'd feel better if you took another Suboxone. And even with being dependent on Suboxone, you can cross over and start using that shit, addictively. If you can't take your prescribed dose, then you're practicing addiction with Suboxone. And I see so many people do that, because those are addictive behaviors. Overtaking our medication is an addictive behavior, you guys. And yeah, so I guess I wanted to make this video because I feel like people, they get so kind of like bent out of shape about what it's called. It doesn't matter. Like, you obviously have it, okay? What does it matter if it's illness, disease, mental health, illness, mental obsession, mental disorder, whatever you want to call it. Okay, you call it whatever you want to call it. You got it, I got it, and we got to find out how to fight this shit. That's what we're trying to do today. And that's why I tell you guys, like, right now there's Refuge Recovery and Smart Recovery, but those programs are not as old as AA is. And that's why I tell you, like, if you haven't tried the 12 steps, try them. Try going to some meetings, because everything you've done up until this point hasn't worked. That's all I've got to say. Everything you've done up until this point hasn't worked. So why not give it a try? It can't hurt, right? But, you know, in the program, I used to think that, you know, in the program, AA didn't support people who were on medically assisted treatment, because that's what people were telling me. And I'll tell you this, that's the farthest thing from the truth. AA has no opinion on outside issues, and as long as you are seeing a doctor and taking your medication as prescribed, you can be a member as long as you have the desire to stop drinking. And that's why I love AA, because it's accepting, and I feel comfortable there. But I've been to other programs like Celebrate Recovery, and I loved it there too. But that's also based off of the 12-step program. So you just got to find what works for you. But really, like, whatever you call your thing that you got, disease, mental illness, addiction, whatever you want to call it, you could call it whatever you want. That doesn't matter. Let's not lose focus on what's really important. And that is learning about our addiction and fighting it. Because listen, I could go round and round with people all day long about what you want to call it, but what is that doing? How are you helping yourself recover? It's not helping at all. Like, what helps is learning about your addiction, learning about your triggers, learning about why you started in the first place. What set you off? What was your trauma? What was the situation when, you know, you got to really look deep inside yourself. Recovery is an inside job. It's all about self-introspection and looking in here, getting down deep in here. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. I know it's hard, you guys. I know it sucks. Okay, I think about it all the time. Am I being honest? Am I really doing, you know, like constantly second guessing and making sure that I'm on the right track? Because here's the deal. My disease will tell me that I don't have it, and I'm cured. And the whole premise behind remembering and knowing that you have it is not forgetting. Because the minute you forget, that's when the relapse comes. Yeah? What? Let me read this part to you guys about forgetting, okay? Because this rings so true with me. Okay. Yeah, baby.
Say PZ1 on your phone. On your phone.
No, baby, I'm doing a video right now. No, Nate, go. You got your friend over, go play. Lord have mercy, son.
Well, how easy was that?
Okay, so I want to just read a few things. Okay, so here we go. All right. As soon as I regained my ability to think, I went carefully over that evening in Washington. Not only had I been off guard, this is about his relapse, I had made no fight whatsoever against the first drink. This time, I had not thought of the consequences at all.
Mommy,
yes.
When you're done, can you...
Yes, baby. We have to fight against the thought to drink or use. And if we don't have any kind of, like, defense against it, like, this is all learning about your addiction is how you have defense against it, okay? How you can fight those urges and temptations, triggers, whatever thoughts that you have. Because really all a trigger is a thought, okay? And when you're in that thought, if you can change that thought or do something else and change what you're doing, that will help you every single time. You guys, I think about drinking and using sometimes, and when I do, what I do is I pause. I play the tape all the way through. What would happen if I decided to go out and drink and use? And I play it out. Oh, this is what would happen. You'd lose everything. I had commenced to drink as carelessly as though the cocktails were ginger ale. I now remembered what my alcoholic friends had told me, how they prophesied that if I had an alcoholic mind, the time and place would come I would drink again. They had said that though I did raise a defense, it would one day give away before some trivial reasons for having a drink. Well, just that did happen and more, for what I had learned of alcoholism did not occur to me at all. I knew from the moment that I had an alcoholic mind. I saw that willpower and self-knowledge would not help in those strange mental blank spots. I had never been able to understand people who said that a problem had them hopelessly defeated. I knew then. It was a crushing blow. 2 of the members of AA came to see me. They grinned, which I didn't like so much, and then asked me if I thought myself alcoholic and if I were really licked this time. I had to concede both propositions. They piled on me heaps of evidence to the effect that an alcoholic mentality, such as I had exhibited in Washington, was a hopeless condition. They cited cases out of their own experience by the dozen. This process snuffed out the last flicker of conviction that I could do the job myself. Then they outlined the spiritual answer and program of action, which 100 of them had followed successfully. Though I had been only a nominal churchman, their proposals were not intellectually hard to swallow, but the program of action, though entirely sensible, was pretty drastic. It meant I would have to throw several lifelong conceptions out of the window. That was not easy. But the moment I made up my mind to go through the process, I had the curious feeling that my alcoholic condition was relieved, as in fact it proved to be. Quite as important was the discovery that spiritual principles would solve all my problems. I have since been brought into a way of living infinitely more satisfying and I hope more useful than the life I lived before. My old manner of life was by no means a bad one, but I would not exchange its best moments for the worst I have now. I would not go back to it even if I could. Fred's story speaks for itself. We hope it strikes home to the thousands like him. He had felt only the first nip of the ringer. Most alcoholics have to be pretty badly mangled before they really commence to solve their problems. Many doctors and psychiatrists agree with our conclusion. One of these men, staff member of a world-renowned hospital, recently made this statement to some of us. What you say about the general hopelessness of an average alcoholic's plight is, in my opinion, correct. As 2 of you men whose stories I have heard, there is no doubt in my mind that you were 100% hopeless, apart from divine help. Had you offered yourselves as patients at this hospital, I would not have taken you, if I had been able to avoid it. People like you are too heartbreaking. Though not a religious person, I have profound respect for the spiritual approach in such cases as yours. For most cases, there is virtually no other solution. Once more, the alcoholic at certain times has no effective mental defense against the first drink, except in a few rare cases. Neither he nor any other human being can provide such a defense. His defense must come from a higher power. Okay. Despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics are not going to believe they are in the class. By every form of self-deception and experimentation, they will try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. If anyone who is showing inability to control his drinking can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. So, basically, it says it right here, like, of course you're going to go against the grain and you're going to want to not be an addict, okay? And you can go and you can fight this all you want. But until you realize and accept the fact that you are, then it's going to be a struggle. You know what I mean? Like, alcoholism and addiction, same thing, is a progressive illness. It gets worse, never better. You cannot rewind. Once you are an addict, you're an addict. You can either be an active addict or you can be a recovering addict. It's your choice. Just like when you have a cucumber, when you pickle it, you can't unpickle it. You're a pickle now, and that's okay. You can be a recovering pickle. We do not like to pronounce any individual as alcoholic, but you can quickly diagnose yourself. Step over to the nearest bar room and try some controlled drinking. So here's the deal. With addiction, you can put anything you want in here. Step over to the nearest doctor's office and try to get a prescription for benzos and take them like a gentleman. If you can do that, you might not be an addict. Try to stop using and drinking abruptly. Try it more than once. It will not take long for you to decide. If you are honest with yourself about it, it may be worth a bad case of the jitters if you get a full knowledge of your condition. So, I guess, I just want you guys to know that, like, I'm only trying to help you guys. And like I said, it really doesn't matter what you call it, okay? It doesn't matter. All that you need to know is that you struggle with it, and that now you need to learn as much as you can about addiction so that way you can fight it, okay? So I hope you guys kind of understand, and I wanted to explain it a little bit better. The way it's always been explained to me is that addiction is an allergy to substances. When we take drugs and alcohol into our body, we have an allergic reaction. Our bodies do not metabolize drugs and alcohol the same way a normal person's does, and therefore it sets off a craving, and it's the phenomenon of craving, and it's a mental obsession, and that's the only way I can explain it. I'm sure if you asked a doctor, they could explain it better to you. And in fact, I would recommend going over to Doc Park's channel and kind of asking him about it. He could explain it probably better than I can. But in my personal experience, denying and not believing it to be true and kind of trying to go around every other way to recover was not helpful for me. In fact, it really prolonged my recovery, and I could have been on the track to the sober life a long time ago if I would have accepted. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to y'all later.